came back with a list of things of how could they improve what they do, and was there some overlap? Was there some things that we could consolidate to save money? And so this is something that is in place. We've started that, and that is why we had a $16 million gap. We asked that the departments all find $8 million to save, and we would find $8 million. And because of that, as I mentioned earlier, we are now at a point where we have a sustainable, balanced budget. And so this has been a partnership of city staff, council, and actually input from residents as well. And so we are on the road to having a sustainable budget. We are not Vallejo. We are not cities where they are on the brink of bankruptcy. And I think that from this point forward, we're going to be building up our reserves. We're going to be looking at some unmet services that we will start to be able to fund, which includes more police officers, the opening of Fire Station 11, and perhaps opening up the library for Sunday hours, as well as other things that we'll identify. Thank you.
Okay, Rick, I think you wanted to answer this question.
Yes. I've looked at this sustainability study, and we have done a lot of things that have reduced our budget, have reduced our expenditures. I don't particularly agree with some of them. I think one of the things we've done, you talk about having private companies do some of the city's business. If we're going to outsource business and we're going to take jobs away from city employees, we could at least outsource to a company that is located here in Fremont. We outsourced our street maintenance to a company that's based in San Mateo. If we're going to give out or give private companies our money, we should at least make sure that they're going to spend that money back in Fremont. We have other services that have been cut, drastically, and we don't offer near the level of service that we used to. People keep mentioning we've saved money, we're bringing back more police officers. We just hired 4 more police officers. Well, the sad fact is 4 more police officers now brings us up to the level that we were at in 1986. So we still have a long way to go.
Okay, so 2 of our candidates have completed their questions, so that would be Rick and Sue. And Mark, you're going to have to answer this next question because you have only done 3 questions. And then everybody, John and Rakesh and Vinny, are all about the same. So this question is, how will the new open space zoning affect projects all over the city, and what are your views on this initiative? Okay, ready, Mark?
The Open Space Initiative allows for certain areas to be left as either private or public open spaces. One of the things that I enjoy about Fremont is there is a lot of little open spaces and parks all over the city. The initiative itself to maintain these and actually add some to it is something that I wholeheartedly support, and I think we need to do. As far as the resources to do that, in some cases what we would have to do is go into a private partnership with some companies, or even with public donations to actually acquire and maintain these properties. Thank you.
All right, thank you. John.
Thank you very much. I supported the open space zoning initiative, and have also worked with members of Kimber Park in protection of their open space for that specific development. I think it's very important, again, as a council person, that you have balance in your community, that you understand the need for good, high-quality development while at the same time protecting your open space and your hills here in the Fremont that we supported Measure T as well. I've had the great honor of working with the members of Kimber Park over the past 8 or 9 months or so, and in fact have seen a new development, if you will, come to that park area that has nothing to do with residential anymore. Looks like it's going to be entirely park with a great recreation area and tennis courts and so forth. And I think that speaks to the mind of most of the people here in Fremont, in that, there's a time and a place. We do need that high quality development. At the same time, the site there at Kimber Park, for instance, was developed as an amenity for those residents and never should have been taken away. And it was that catalyst that started the open space initiative. I'm 100% behind it, and I think it's a good thing for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh.
My answer to that is yes. And if I remind all of you guys that Kimber Park was really proposed by staff to keep as a open space in the General Plan 2030, if I'm correct. And it was the city council right here who messed the whole process up. And so that's what really the whole thing came in. And I'm glad that finally they got the message that it's about people. That's what I call myself, people's candidate. It's all about you and the communication to come here, because once people got elected and passed, they never went back and asked you that what you really need, what we need to be doing over here. So my brief answer, yes, I support open space. I always will, being a long-distance marathon runner right here in Fremont for 25 years. I enjoy outdoor, and we need to do something to make sure that what happened with the Kimber Park neighborhood, the amount of resources they have to spend to get where we are today, should not happen in city of Fremont, and I'm all for it. And I really tell people who are still working for Kimber Park, thanks a lot.
Okay, so let's see.
I had my card out for that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Please, go ahead.
And they took it. Thank you. Well, first I am going to talk about Kimber Park, because, of course, the progression was that it went from Kimber Park to the Open Space Initiative. I was very active in the Save Kimber Park group. Since I have a strong history of working to preserve open space in Fremont, I was consulted in some of the early discussions on how to stop the development in that area. I also spoke out at council meetings on behalf of the Save Kimber Park group. I also have chair of the local Sierra Club, got them involved, and got them to support the effort to stop residential development there. I would actually agree with what Rakesh said. This never should have been an issue in Fremont politics. The council should have looked at this issue and decided that the zoning did not allow for residential development, that there was no compelling reason to change the zoning, and then they should have rejected the proposal outright. It never should have gotten beyond that. Basically, the initiative arose because the people at Kimber Park felt like they couldn't trust the council. They were really concerned that this was actually going to be approved as residential development. So they started the initiative. So I basically, I was out helping gather signatures for the initiative because I understood where they were coming from. I did something similar back with Measure K when we were trying to stop excessive development over by the by Coyote Hills Regional Park. I like the idea that now if you want to change private open space, it's got to be done by the will of the people. And I would finally conclude by saying that the Save Kimber Park group has endorsed my campaign for the Fremont City Council. Thank you.
All right. Well, as it turns out, all the candidates have answered 6 questions except for you, Mark.
Right.
You still have one card left?
Oh.
Well, maybe I don't know how to count here. So the question we have right on, and Mark, you'll go ahead and start with this. What is Fremont's most pressing problem, and what can be done to solve it?
I think the most pressing problem with Fremont is resource availability, and what I mean by that is public safety, education resources, and city resources to actually cover these. What we need to do is we need to find a way to increase the base of the general fund for the city, and so we can actually increase these services. Rick touched on that when he talked about the level of the police department being at a level of 1986. Obviously, the population hasn't stayed the same. So we do need to increase that. I understand that the fire department is still looking to open up Station 11, and we need resources for that. So those pressing issues could be resolved when we start building the high-tech centers in Warm Springs, developing the downtown area, and also redeveloping the historic centers of like Centerville, Irvington. These will actually bring in money and will allow us to actually expand out our services for the people and for the city. Thank you.
Right, Vinny, I think we failed to actually pick up your card, so why don't you go ahead, though, and answer this question, and then we'll start with closing statements.
Okay.
Okay?
Look, I've been asked the 3 priorities for Fremont, and I would say economic development, economic development, and economic development. Clearly, we've heard all sorts of things about the police, about parks, et cetera. If we don't get our economy going, none of that will happen. I think I'd like to mention 2 things about economic development. First of all, we have to be more business friendly to small local businesses. I have a real passion for small businesses. I actually work at a company where what we do is help small businesses get started. That's kind of the center of our firm. Local businesses, they provide jobs, they provide taxes, and they give us a unique flavor. As I've joked with people, a lot of people mention that small little Salong Pass restaurant on Fremont Boulevard to me. It's very interesting. No one really mentions the huge Target as something interesting. We really need those small restaurants and those small little shops to give us a flavor of our community. And the other thing, these are the people who care about our community. I mean, as far as Target is concerned, we're one city on a list of many that they have. That owner of Salong Pass, that's his street. He cares about what happens on Fremont Boulevard. We really need to do more to focus on local businesses and figure out why we have this reputation of being a business-unfriendly city. I've heard this from way too many small business owners, that they're having trouble doing business in the city. My bigger vision on economic development is that we have to make the city an interesting place to go to. Right now, there is no there. I can't go to campuses across the country and tell young kids, you want to come work for my company because it's in Fremont. Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the question portion of the evening, and we will start with our closing statements. So, Sue, if it's all right with you, can we start with you and just work our way along the days?
Okay. Well, I have sat in this seat for 4 years, and it has been an honor to be your council member, and last year I was your vice mayor. You know, it is an interesting time serving on city council, but what I've found is that my service has been very fulfilling, but also very challenging, and there's more that I would like to do. 4 years ago, our country fell into an economic pit. Tough times require tough decisions to balance our budget and maintain basic services. But guess what? We did it. What's important to you is important to me. Safe streets, excellent schools, improved public safety, job creation, and economic development. On the City Council, I have fulfilled promises. After 4 years of work, we have new stores and restaurants and theaters at Pacific Commons and at the Block. Warm Springs BART Station is going to be the power hub of innovation for green and clean technology. Whole Foods will start the kickstart off our downtown. These accomplishments came from vision, experience, and proven leadership. Action and word, not just words. Definitely things are better than 4 years ago, and my work is not yet done. I would be honored to receive your vote for my reelection. Thank you.
All right, John.
Thank you. I think I've touched on this briefly already, but when you start something like this, it's all about your homework, what you do from the very beginning and who you contact, who you communicate with. That really helps make that vision happen, that you're able to see and understand the needs of a city. To that end, I began with school board members, trustees. I talked with Dr. Gary Browning over at Loney College, and I'm proud to say I've gotten the endorsement from the former State Superintendent of Schools, Delane Easton, the current State Superintendent of Schools, Tom Torlakson, and Congressman Mike Honda, who's a great visionary when it comes to education for our children. I've also spoke to Tri-City leaders, and I've spoken to the mayor, or the future mayor in Union City, the mayor in Newark, and the councilmen and members in Hayward, in Pleasanton, and here in our own city as well. We have a great opportunity facing our city with the Warm Springs development. It's one of those types of development that can bring revenue to our city for decades and lift up services beyond the 1980s, as we touched on earlier before. It's time that we had an ambassador for our city. It's time we quit telling people that we're a great bedroom community, and that we get out there and tell people who Fremont is, and that we're something that people should notice and be part of in our Bay Area. We need destination points. We need revenue makers for our city. At the same time, we need to balance that with open space and protecting our amenities. Hopefully you understand the vision that we have for our city, that we're trying to lift everything up and do well for our city. I want to thank you very much for your time, and I thank you for your vote.
All right, Rakesh.
Just quickly before I go on to my statement, I meant by no means that we're going to merge up our police department with anybody else until it's beneficial to us. So just to clarify that. I've been a Fremont resident for 25 years, and I have a doctorate degree in clinical biochemistry from a medical college in India. My wife is a physician locally. She's also chief medical officer for Washington Township Medical Group. Our younger daughter, Natasha, was born right here at Washington Hospital, went to Mission San Jose High School. Our older daughter right now is a medical student, and we're all product of public education. So I support public schools, and I'm very committed to it. As I said, I've been planning commissioner for City of Fremont for 80 years. I know how local government work without telling you the details about who I know and what I talk to other people. Furthermore, I'm not aligned with any nonprofit, venture, special interest group, business, or other organization that will preclude me, and I'll be there to vote every issue that will come in front of the City Council. I'll be there to serve you. I'm people's candidate. I'll work hard to meet all the goals that I have defined. I want a great city. I want to act in your favor. If you're looking for a candidate with experience, political independence, and no special interest, I am your candidate. I would be honored to have your support and vote on November 6th. Thank you very much.
Okay, Vinny.
Well, first of all, I thank you for putting on this forum here tonight. Thank the people for being in the crowd tonight, and thank everyone who's watching on television. There is a lot at stake in this election. Fremont City Council campaigns have largely been funded by developers, and Fremont has been a very developer-friendly city. This is not a coincidence. Instead of focusing on bringing jobs or quality retail to Fremont, our council has a history of approving more and more homes, the most lucrative type of development for developers. This hurts our schools, our economy, and I believe this is why we have no there. With this election, we can bring some real, well-needed change to the council. We can elect someone who has pledged not to accept campaign contributions from developers, someone who will make decisions about our city that are not based on their own profits or on the profits of the people who contributed to their campaign, but someone who has a proven track record of representing the interests of all of the residents of Fremont. While running a clean money campaign is difficult, we are succeeding. Our message is getting across to Fremont voters. Our support has been growing and growing. I have the endorsement of the Alameda County Democratic Party, State Senator Ellen Corbett, State Assembly Member Bob Wykowski, and many others. Our country was founded on the principle that the people, not moneyed interests, should be the ones running the country. I like that idea myself, and I want to be a council person that lives by that principle. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
Fremont has a relatively well-paid, highly educated population, and we deserve public services, businesses, and activities that reflect our city and its potential. We've gone from an innovative, proactive city, once regarded as a model for others, to a city that can no longer deliver the services that the citizens and the workforce deserves. Fremont's unique in its geographical and technological setting. We need to take full advantage of the opportunities that exist in clean energy and green development. I want to explore wind, solar, and clean fuel alternatives right here. And I truly believe that Fremont can be a real force in such developments. I'm proud to say that I have solar panels on my own home. By nature, I'm not a politician, although I'm not aligned with or supported by any special interests, corporate entities, or other large corporate donors. I firmly believe that I can provide a necessary balance on the council. I'm proud to say that my support comes from the people and small business owners of Fremont. That being said, I'm running a grassroots campaign. My staff consists of my wife and one of my very good friends. So what you get from me are my views and my thoughts, not those of big financial supporters. I'm simply a Fremont resident who sees the need for change in this city. You'll soon be choosing more than one person to represent you on this council, and I'd be honored to continue to serve the residents of Fremont. A vote for me will give you my dedication and assurances that I will put the needs of Fremont residents above all else. Decisions will be based on the needs of our community, not how they could further a political career. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mark?
I would also like to thank the League for putting on this forum here for us to talk. I'd like to thank everybody who's here for coming out and listening to us late on a Friday night. Also, I'd like to thank the other candidates here for their support of my campaign. They've actually given me lots of advice. It's actually been really nice of them. I am a product of Fremont schools. I attended American High. I started at Ohlone, as I said before, and I have a love of the city. My family, my friends live here. I also want to provide another point of view different than some of the other candidates have had. I think I can do that. I have an MBA with a heavy background in accounting. I'm very conservative about how I think of money matters, and I believe that can be brought into the city to help maintain the balanced budget and then make us grow in a smart manner. I'm an operating room technician at Kaiser, and what I've learned is to work as a team, and I think that's one important thing that I can bring to this city is teamwork. Teamwork within the city itself, teamwork within the community and the city. I volunteer with a group called Operation Access, and we provide surgical services for people without insurance, and this is my way of giving to the community. And now I've decided to expand that and then give back to the entire community of the city of Fremont. And I would appreciate your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank our candidates for their participation tonight and for their willingness to run for Fremont City Council. We thank you and the audience for coming, and for those watching at home. And don't forget to vote on November 6th and take a friend with you to the polls. Thank you.